Welcome Studio in One students. Today we're going to start an origami unit. Origami is the Japanese art of folded paper. And so all you will need is some sheets of square paper. It could be any color, it could be any thickness really, maybe something thin works better. Today what we're going to do is we're going to make a little tulip, we're going to make a cat face, and we're going to make a little dish, or it can be called a fortune teller. I bet you've all made these before in your youth. So you're going to need some square paper. And if you have regular sheets of paper at home, printer paper, what you can do to make it perfectly square is take one corner and fold it diagonal. Match it up very carefully. And then just cut this little edge off right there, and then you will have a perfectly square piece of paper. If you want to, you could definitely measure with a ruler and measure yourself some paper, but that way works really nice for making squares of paper. So what we're going to do first today is this cute little cat. And to start, I'm going to use a piece of paper that's a little orangey brown on one side and white on the other. And I know some of you have done origami before. Maybe some of you are really good at it, which is exciting. But we're going to start kind of simple and get more complicated. And I'm going to tell you some of the fold techniques that we're going to use. So what we're going to do first today is we're going to fold this. I'm going to start with my white side up. If you have paper that's white on both sides, you can use either side. We're going to fold it in half to make a triangle. And you want to just really fold the paper well, nice and crispy. You can see that mine wasn't perfect. I've got a little bit of an edge right there. I'm going to cut that right off. It's because I don't have my paper cutter. I miss my paper cutter. So then we're going to hold it just like a triangle, right side up. And we're going to fold this triangle in half. I'm going to match up my corners. And now I've got a thicker layer. There's like 4 layers, maybe 2 layers, so I'm going to push it right there. And open it up again. And then what you can maybe see is we've got kind of a center line there. So I'm going to turn my cat over. What we're going to do is we're going to start to make the ears. So we're going to use that center line and we're going to fold up to make a little ear over here. And then over here, we're going to make another ear. So you want to try to make it as symmetrical as possible. So that's going to make the cat's ears, and then we're going to fold this little bit down, and that's going to create the top of its forehead. So you can see it's simple folds, and then we get a little cat face shape. Sometimes, if you don't want your cat face to be so long, sometimes I'll give it another little fold right there, so you can kind of control the shape of your cat. Maybe you want to make it look like your cat. So I leave mine just like that, and then I like to add on some cat eyes. Good to make sound effects when you're drawing. Maybe I would draw that a little better. Give my cat a little nose. So you can definitely add some details. And that is our simple origami cat. I love it. I think it's so cute. And here's one that has the pointier sides. So you can do it as detailed as you like. Next, what we're going to do is this sweet little tulip. So it reminds us of springtime. So I've used a piece of reddish paper and some green paper. You could always do it out of white paper and then add color, a little watercolor maybe, who knows. So we're going to start and we're going to do our tulip first. And I have a red side and a white side. And now I have to remember how I did that. Okay, we're going to start by making a triangle. So we're going to fold it in half to make a triangle again, just like the last cat. And you can see again, my paper was a little bit off, but that's okay. Then, without even measuring the middle, we're just going to kind of fold one about 1/3 over and the other one about 1/3 over. Maybe I am going to measure the middle. I'm just going to pinch it and see where that middle spot is. That's just going to help me measure better. So I'm folding one way and one the other, and that creates our little tulip. I'm going to move it over a little bit. So you might have to like fiddle with it to make it look nice. And you can see I've got it does not even look good. Kids, am I gonna have to start this all over? You know what it is? I don't like that white. My paper wasn't very even to begin with. This is a problem for me. Sorry, kids. Okay, I'm gonna look at it from this way. So we're gonna just fold 1/3 over that way. and 1/3 over that way. That looks a little bit better to me. I still have a little bit of white right there. That's going to be my tulip top. What we want to do is just fold that little point backwards. So that gives us our tulip. Now we're going to do the stem. I'm going to use a little piece of green paper, and I'm going to fold it in half to make a triangle again. So today we're using a lot that use a triangle. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to open that up. And now what I want to do is I want to fold this to the center and this to the center. And you can see it looks like a little kite. My paper's a little stiff. We're going to use this fold a lot in origami as we move on. Once you have your little kite, you're going to kind of fold it in half like a little book. And we've got a long, thin point. I'm going to turn that upside down. That part's going to be our stem. And what we're going to do to make our leaf is you can just decide where you'd want the leaf to be. So I'm going to fold mine up and make my leaf right there. And then I would maybe give them a little glue, maybe a little tape. Maybe I'd put it on the front of a card and glue it down. And that's our little tulip. Very bright and cheerful. So the last one we're going to do today is this little container. It can be a container this way to keep things in. Sometimes I keep my spare horse in it. Or it can be a little fortune teller this way. Or sometimes you can even make them into like little puppet faces with little mouths. You can have lots of fun. So for this one's a little bit more complicated than the other ones. I'm going to use a sheet of paper, and what I'm going to do first is I'm going to fold it in half to make kind of a hot dog fold. I'm going to give it a really good crisp. Then I'm going to take that hot dog and do a hamburger fold, making it a square. Make my folds really nice and crisp. Then I'm going to open it up again. Now what I'm going to do is hold it like a diamond, and I'm going to fold to make a triangle, and then I'm going to fold that triangle in half to make a smaller triangle. Then when I open it up, I can see that my paper has 8 distinct areas on it. Those are just called preliminary folds. It's going to make it easier for one of the steps. So now, once we have our paper flat again, we're going to take each of the 4 corners and we're going to fold them in half. Like each one has a little square, and we're going to fold that little square in half to that center point. So we're going to do that with every single corner, going right to the middle. We don't want to overlap at all, so make sure you're matching up very carefully. You want to have really good craftsmanship in origami. It makes every step a little bit easier. And if your paper's cut perfect, it makes it all the better. You can see mine is not perfect. So now what we're going to do, we've got all those folded to the center. We're going to fold our paper over to the smooth side, and we're going to do that same move again with the outer corners to the inner corner. We're going to turn each time, and I'm going to fold right, looking at my little fold lines that are already there. And now I have more layers of paper, so I have to be a little bit more firm. And at this point, I have this kind of double square. Then what we're going to do to make it work really nicely, I'm going to look at this side where I've got these little flaps. I'm going to fold in half here just to crease it. Then I'm going to fold it the opposite way in half. So I'm just giving it a good crease. And then I can see that there's a little spot, like a little pocket to put my fingers in on that side and over here on this side. And if I put my fingers in, I can kind of press it to the center, and it gives me my little cootie catcher or fortune teller. Like maybe when you were young, you would say, pick a number, and you would count the numbers, and then you would look and see your fortune. So those are the 3 things that I would like you to try today in origami. And you have paper directions as well, so hopefully that can help you. And these are some really simple ones, so we're going to get more complicated after this. So have fun and send me your pictures. I'm looking forward to seeing your origami. Bye, kids.